Hey guys, welcome. This is Lydia, and if this is the first time you joining me, I am Lydia Martinez Ebling, and this is my channel. And today I have something very special for you. Somebody that's very close to my heart, but she has a great story that she's going to share with you. But a little bit about me is that I'm a certified fitness and nutrition specialist and hormone health coach. I've been in the industry almost 30 years now. Gosh. It makes me feel old saying that. But almost 30 years, and my husband and I have worked with thousands of women over the years, helping them to, drop body fat, improve their health, and totally just transform their lives. And our whole goal is to help redefine how you age. You get to define that process. But like I said, I have a special guest. It's not about me today. Although I like to talk about me, it's not about me. I have a very special guest. She's very close to my heart, a good friend, and I wanted her to come on today to share some of her story, because not only I know is it's going to be inspiring, but I know that she has tidbits and golden nuggets to share that could possibly help you move forward in the right direction so you can take charge of your life just like she did. My friend Becky Tobar, soon to be Campbell. How exciting is that? Becky, thank you so much for taking time out and being on this session with me today. I know we have a lot to talk about. We've been friends for a long time now. How long has it been?
2009 is when you came into my life.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, I feel like we haven't been without each other since.
I know. Everybody thinks you're my sister.
I'll take that.
Yeah, right. I'll take it. I'll take an extra sister.
Right.
But yeah, so let's talk a little bit. What I really want is for you to share your journny of just health and transformation that you've been going through. And we're always going through a process, but can you give them a little bit of your background and how we connected and just your story a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. Like I said, I met Lydia in 2009. It was kind of stars aligned. So in 2009, I was in a very dark place. I had just lost an uncle who was like a second father to me. And I had a high school friend that I made a Facebook post, and it went something like, if I could have $1 million and spend every day with my kids, something along those lines. And she said, well, if she commented on the Facebook post, now mind you, this was back in 2009, so Facebook was, fairly new. But she commented, hadn't heard from her in, a few years. And she said, what if I had something worth $1 million? And so she was preluding to a network marketing company. But when I look at it hindsight, she definitely gave me something worth $1 million for sure. And it wasn't the company, but relationships. So right. She was actually the one that initially introduced me to the vehicle that brought me to you. And it all started, like I said, stars aligned. I was struggling obviously with my mental health and my physical health. But most importantly for me at the time, I was a mom, right? I was a mom of 4 kids, and one was a gift from God. He wasn't mine biologically, so he didn't live under my roof. But the 3 that were biologically mine and under my roof, one was struggling dramatically with his weight. He was 12 years old, and he had been a big boned boy since the day he was born, 9 pounds, 3 ounces. And
a big boy.
Yeah. And we had just done a physical for him for fall football. And the doctor said 2 words to my son for the first time. And I lost my breath. And those 2 words were morbidly obese. And Damian didn't know what that meant at the time, but I did. And he told Damian for every year that he carried the excess weight that he was carrying, that was taking 5 years off of his life. And so when we got into the vehicle, after the physical. His older brother, who didn't live with us, but I always did the physicals and the health stuff for him too. He was with us, and he had just done his physical as well. I could hear him in the back, because kids think that you can't hear what they're saying if they're not involving you in the conversation.
Right.
But I hear him ask his older brother Taylor, "What does morbidly obese mean?" And Taylor just looked at him, and Taylor's older than he is, so Taylor was in high school, so he knew what that meant. And then when Damian did the math, he went, "I'm going to be dead before I'm grandma's age."
Oh, gosh.
And that was the moment that I knew I had to make a change. And then enter my friend Nicole from high school, who introduced me to a company that you were a part of at the time, and you were piloting a program for adolescents for weight loss. And on a whim and a prayer, I submitted Damian. And I tell you, I joined the company like a week or two prior to that. So there was no reason for him to be selected. I had no stature in the company, and he was. I got the call from you directly in September of 2009, and you said that Damian had been selected to be a part of the pilot program, and our lives changed, literally changed. I was in it to win it for him, and he did. He made life-changing leaps and bounds in his health, and he changed mentally. He went from a kid that, thought that playing high school football would be cool if I get to a kid that was gonna play college football.
Yeah.
And there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that's really where my health journey started as well, because I realized that as a mom, we can make all the excuses in the world for why we don't do for ourselves. But truly, those excuses should be our reasons why.
Right.
My excuses of, I have to do this for my kids, and I don't have time to food prep, or I don't have time to work out, I realized it was my example that was leading them down the wrong path.
Wow.
So it was truly, I give all credit to God, because like I said, for everything to have fallen in place, for us to be a part of that, not only did Damian need it, but I needed it. I needed it for my health, and I needed it for my mental health as well. So through the process, Damian gained a neck, as he would say. That was the biggest thing that he's like, his first realization of he was making physical changes was he looked in the mirror and he goes, "Mom, I have a neck."
Wow.
And for a 12-year-old boy, those are things you just don't think of. He like I said, he was a big boy since birth. He was 9 pounds out the gate and 10 pounds before we left the hospital 3 days later. So he didn't have any issues in the size department. He was a center from grade school through college, because that kid did end up playing college football, just like he said he would after his journey began. So, and along that, he gained his health, and so did I.
Yeah.
I lost 100 pounds.
That's
and
amazing.
that was me just supporting him.
Right.
But by doing that and starting in that way, I sit back and I look now and I'm like, I wish that I would have realized sooner that my inability to show up for myself truly impacted my kids far more than if I did show up for myself.
That's amazing. I mean, and it's just, Damian's now a dad. Oh my gosh.
He is.
Yeah, you're a
it's
grandma.
crazy. I'm a grandma.
That's crazy. But let's unpack that a little bit as far as showing up for yourself. What were some of the things, obviously maybe it was the food or the workout, but what was that like of showing up for yourself? And did it seem like a big effort to you? I mean, because I know like when moms have their kids, they'll do far more for their kids than they will themselves. But is that what it felt like? You were doing it for Damian, or you just started doing stuff and it just started?
I think a little bit of both, right? So I've never been the mom that I'm going to let my kid feel alone. So, you know, when he started the program and he started following instruction by you and Rye, you know, I went along with it. You know, I was like, okay, we're in this together. And it was Damian and I at first. I wasn't going to force this on my family and the younger kids. But it quickly turned into a lifestyle, right? And I know that's cliche or whatever, but it really truly did, because I got to the point where I'm like, okay, why would I just do the good things for just Damian and I? You know, why wouldn't I teach? He has 2 younger siblings, Lorenzio and Ellie, and why wouldn't I show them the way that they should be living out the gate as well?
Right.
And so, yes, in the beginning, it started as I was doing it for him. But also what I loved about it, and even with the adolescents, you know, with Damian, with the young kids that you were working with, mindset was a big part of that.
Yeah.
Right? So as an adult woman, I'm walking through these mindset activities that you have these 12, 11, you know, 13-year-old kids doing, and I'm learning a bunch, right? Because mindset had never really been a part of my life. Like, here are the cards you're dealt, deal with them. Right. That's how I was raised. And I've always, you know, tried to push myself as far as I can go and those types of things, but I had never worked on my mindset. And once I started that, it was like game over. And being able to hold myself accountable and actually say the words, like, I have nobody to blame for this but me. You know, this is on me. And did I know better? No.
Right.
But I do now. So, you know, there's a few phrases that have always stood out, and I will always quote you by saying, and one of them is, you know, small manageable changes make a big difference, right? And that is how I started. So there were moments of overwhelm, but it was mostly because I was the support system for a whole family, right? So I would be lying if I said it was, it was simple. It was so easy. And the program that we worked with back then, right? We've evolved. So I think of the way that I lost 100 pounds, and I'm like, dude, if I was in that position right now, it would be so much easier, just because we've learned and science has evolved, we've evolved. And, but what kept me grounded was that phrase, small manageable changes. So when I would get overwhelmed, I would just step back and say, okay, like, put the first thing first and stop. You know, we want and need to look at a big picture, but it's okay to hone in and focus on a smaller picture as well. Right. And that was something that I learned along that journey, is how to, you know, avoid that overwhelm when you get there. I think that was a big thing.
That is huge. And that's such great, I don't want to say information, tips for those that are listening and watching, because it's sometimes we see the finished product and sometimes we assume, well, that's great for her, but that's not me. I'm not a disciplined person. I have a lot of things going on, and everybody does, right? And they often see that finished product and think that that's not, that we don't go through challenges, right? And it's like, no matter what, even after losing 100 pounds, you still have challenges that you deal with, right? What are some major things that you've, I mean, it's been a long journey, but like the one of the biggest changes that's easy for you to stick with right now, that out of all the changes that you've done? And that's a big question, right?
Like, honestly, I think the game changer for me was intermittent fasting. Yeah. Truly. Like, hold on. I just lost an earbud. Technical difficulties. Intermittent fasting was a game changer for me. Truly, and that's the one tool I think that, because when I initially started with you guys, even with Damian, supplementation was a part of that program. We were low glycemic, and I feel like if I would have started out the gate with intermittent fasting, and even then, I knew, like, my body just, I hated eating breakfast,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
felt like crap eating breakfast, but I did it because that's what we were told to do, eat within a half hour of waking up and feed your metabolism. And yeah, it worked. And
Yeah.
I lost 100 pounds, but that is the one tool that I think goes overlooked by so many people. It has made my life a lot simpler.
I know and it is amazing, and it's because it's so much more because it's a health tool, right? It's a health strategy when it comes to fasting. People think about it, it's not just about weight loss. So, it helps you get your
Right.
insulin in check, and insulin is not just about weight loss. When our insulin's out of whack, it affects our brain, especially as women, and as we start to mature, we're at higher risk for dementia and diabetes, metabolic syndrome. And so getting that insulin in check simply by fasting that costs you nothing, you know, is a powerful strategy, yeah. And you mentioned we switched from teaching low glycemic to tracking macros, and not that low glycemic doesn't work, because obviously it did. You lost 100 pounds. And people are like, well, why would you change? Because, well, let's unpack that for a second. You lost 100 pounds because what were you eating before you started eating low glycemic?
Right.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, a Hispanic household, so tortillas and rice and all the carbs. I mean, we
Right?
had some protein in there too, but
Right?
balanced macros were not a thing. Yeah, I
Right.
mean, it absolutely worked because it where I started was in a really deep hole.
Right.
So, but I can say, we all ebb and flow through life, and because I lost 100 pounds doesn't mean I haven't struggled with weight since.
Right.
I've never gained the 100 pounds back, right? But I've definitely fluctuated in my weight. I mean, I was in my late 20s when we met, and now I'm in my mid 40s, right? So I know.
That can't be because I'm only 25.
I know. It's magic. But so, then enter hormones and life changes and empty nest syndrome. I don't care who says that's not a valid thing, but
Right.
my kids left, and it's a thing, it's
Right.
hard to, it's a change in life, and then you have aging parents and parents passing away and added stress there. And then shifting from being, the child to parenting your parents. And I know
Yeah.
you guys know about that. And
Yeah.
it's just, life brings different things. So it's not like I've not had struggles, since then either. So that's where I say, I know that intermittent fasting is, a tool that I feel like anybody would benefit from. And for me, I think the biggest impact it's had for me personally is I am not so consumed with what I'm putting in my mouth or what I'm not putting in my mouth, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like prior to, that's all I ever thought about was
Yeah.
what time is it? Do I need to eat? What do I need to eat? You know what I mean? Where
Yeah. Yeah.
intermittent
Good, bad, right,
fasting,
wrong. Yeah. All
yeah.
the, yeah.
And I'm not saying you don't still think about what you put in your mouth when you're putting it in your mouth, but just the fact that even my eating hours are smaller means I have to
Right.
think about it for less hours.
Yeah. No, totally.
So,
Ryan and I, that's the crazy part because we, obviously anything that we do, I always talk about this. Ryan and I, before we start sharing it with our friends or our clients, we do the research and then we practice it, whatever it is. If it's fasting, supplementation, macros, training methods, because we just don't want to talk the talk, right? We walk the walk. And when it comes to like fasting, that's because Rye. I mean, and people that know Rye, he's a nonstop eater. He's an enigma of calories, right? I mean, like he can just consume.
seriously.
So like before, it was like, oh my God, I gotta pack this. I gotta make sure it has shakes, and it's like always, and it saves me time because he's fasting.
Agreed. I've traveled with you in both scenarios,
Right?
hangry rye and fasting rye, and I would much rather travel with fasting rye.
So, right, instant. I'm not going to say it, but try to keep this session clean. But yeah,
Right.
so and, and now you're getting ready to go. I'm super excited for you, and I don't say that loosely. Sometimes I don't, because I do use excited a lot. I'm excited because you've been on a journey with us, like all these years. And if it's macros and it's certain supplementation and then it's fasting, and you've always said, okay, I'm game to that, so thank you for always trusting us. But also going on the next level of your journey by connecting with a health professional that we've connected with, so you can get your numbers right when it comes to like your hormones, and just taking it to that next level with BHRT, peptides. So I'm super
Yeah.
stoked with that. Do you want to share a little bit about that, or?
Sure. Yeah. First, I want to say the reason why I'm always game is because of what you just said. You and Rye walk the walk. And it's never been a question of, oh, look at Lydia, she's so beautiful. It just comes naturally. Like, that's not accurate. Not that you're not don't have natural beauty. I'm not saying that. Please no,
I
I'm
wake
not
up
saying
like this.
that. But like, I've watched you. I've gone on a cruise ship with you, and we're in the gym every day anyways, right? Because it's the life you live. That's what
Right.
you do. And so that's why it's so easy for me to be like, yeah, if you think that this is the thing that we need to be doing. And the other part of that is you guys aren't static, right? Like you guys evolve. And that's the biggest thing, I've talked about going from low glycemic to, fasting, but it hasn't been from point A to point Z. Like it's
Right.
been A, B, like you evolve as science evolves, as
Mhm.
information evolves, and I love that. Because that's what our bodies need too, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So that is why I'm always quick to be like, yeah, I'm in. But with my hormones, so I'm 45 years old and things are changing.
Yeah.
I mean, I just woke up this morning, I'm like, oh, hot flash, it's a real thing,
Yeah.
And although we've done small manageable changes, I haven't been able to pinpoint what is going to help me be on, right?
Right. Like
So
that
I get
optimal
better.
level.
Yeah, I start climbing, but then something happens, my dad passes, or, kids, whatever, weddings. I have 2 kids that got married this year, so stress.
Yeah.
And I've never hit the optimal and figured out where I need to be to maintain. So I feel like I start climbing there, and then something happens and it kind of derails me. And mindset's part of that too. I know that. Like,
Yeah.
I know that life's always going to happen. But I feel like the next step is exploring what that looks like. And again, with your guys' leadership and mentorship, and saying, okay, we've done X, Y, and Z, so let's connect with another professional to see where we can go with this.
Right.
And so when you start talking peptides and hormones and all of that stuff, it's out of my wheelhouse. But again, I come to the people that I always trust to say, okay, what direction do I need to go? And
Right.
I'm super excited. Like, I'm supposed to get blood work done tomorrow, to start that journey. But we have a winter storm warning right now, so I don't even know if I'll get to the lab. I know, so say a prayer, no snow.
Yeah, for real.
Snow won't be the issue. The issue is if it rains and then snows. But I'm super excited. The doctor that we are going to work, and I don't know if we're saying names or anything, but
No, not yet. It's going to be a
Okay.
surprise.
Okay. She is a wealth of information, so I'm just like uber excited, if I
Yeah.
could up the word excited, to learn more. And bring in, I never do anything without my kids. Like they're grown and I'm an empty nester, but I still never do. And
Right.
to bring Ellie along that journey,
Yeah.
Ellie is going to be 21 and she just got married and, she's got her own health issues that she's dealing with hormonally. And so she's going to go along that journey with me as well. And, it's funny to think about that, how, my oldest biological child started the health journey and my youngest, now for different reasons, obviously, but hormonally has some things going on that she gets to be a part of that, I won't call it the tail end because I feel like I have a lot more life to
Oh,
live,
no, it's just beginning.
But yeah, so this stage of life I share with her and we'll do it together and so I'm excited about that.
I'm super stoked. And when you talk about God connecting, it was just another thing of God connecting at the right time. It's just crazy. And I'll leave that for another story. And another time. I would love to have you back because there's so much more that we could talk about, because it's, you're not just a success story. You've taken your success and you've coached other women. You've worked with our women. You've always, just like I said, been part of the journey in education, because I believe that's part of what's God has called you to do, right? Is that transformation part of just sharing your story. We have a master class coming up, the Hormone Macro Code Master Class. And I would love for you to share, it's completely free, but why would you tell someone else to attend this master class as a woman?
Education. Honestly, for me, there's not a lot of opportunity out there to get the education at the level that you guys bring without, having to commit to something monetarily and not just but with time as well. Your master classes are jam-packed full of so much information that you guys have gathered through your years and years of experience that you then lay out in layman terms. And trust me, I am the one that totally appreciates that, because you're the science person. If I'm questioning an ingredient or something like that in a supplement, you're my first person. Okay, Lydia, tell me about this. Here it is. You break it down. And that's what you get when you sign up for these master classes. You get that level of education. You're not submitting yourself to a week-long course.
No.
You know what I mean? So I just don't know why anybody wouldn't do it. Every time I'm involved and just in one of those classes, I take something else away from it, right? And that's what I would say to people that are like, oh, well, I've done a master class with her before. No, it doesn't matter, because I always say, even reading a book, you should read it 7 times, right? Because you're always going to pick something else up from it. And I'm in, over a decade and a half with you, educating me. And I'm not just sitting on master classes. We talk on the phone, we text, and I still pick up new nuggets every time I sit in on a master class with you. So that would be why I personally would tell people to do it. What do you have to lose?
Right.
Besides your issues.
I mean, if you're ready to drop your issues, then that's the place you want to be.
Exactly. I mean, for real. It doesn't make sense not to.
Yeah. So, before you can go to hormonemacrocode.com to register completely free. You can also find the details in the show notes. But before I let you go, because like I said, I want to keep talking, but I know people's attention span. Because you do have so much more to share. And actually, before I let you go, what do you think is the biggest thing that hold women back just from taking action?
their personal belief, right? I think that women hesitate believing in themselves because I hesitated believing in myself.
Wow.
And the reason for that, I think we believe as women, if we do, we're taking something away from someone else. And we're nurturers. And so we want to nurture everyone around us, but we forget to nurture ourselves. And I know that I did that for decades. And it's one of those things that I learned. I don't want my daughter to learn that. Like, I don't want her to think she has to put herself aside and believe in others more than she believes in herself. And I think as women, we tend to do that.
So, oh my gosh, so good and so true. Because they have the mindset, I can be a good wife, a good mom, or take care of myself. Not and take care of myself and work out, And that's such a powerful point. Before I let you go, do you have like any final thoughts or tips or just inspiration to share with the women that are watching and listening?
I would just say small, manageable changes. Don't let the overwhelm derail you, right? If you do something today, do something more tomorrow. And it's baby steps. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think that as a woman, and here's the other thing, don't be afraid to put your foot down and say, it is my time. Period. Wow. I don't care if we're talking about husbands. I don't care if we're talking about children or parents. Like, make yourself a priority, because when you do that, you are benefiting everyone around you.
That's huge. So good, Becky. So good. And I do really mean it. I would love for us to do another session, just unpacking more stuff, because you have coached a lot of women with us, and you're an incredible coach, incredible mother, incredible friend and sister. And I really do appreciate you taking time out of your day and away from your family to join me and share your story with so many other people. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Guys, you can go to hormonemacrocode.com to register for a free masterclass, and we'll see you guys on the inside.